Do you know why I keep seeing 1111? Is it important?
Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1111 Matrix Code Revealed. As always, I'm your host, Garrett King. So that audio that you heard there at the very beginning was recorded in January of 2020. And it's taken from a series of conversations that I was having with what I believe was my father. Using several different devices. I started with a ghost box, felt like I was getting communication, and then I was trying different methods, different spirit communication apps, such as Dead Wave and EVP Shifter. And I personally truly believe that I did make contact with my father. Because he was able to answer questions very accurately that I don't feel like anybody else would have known the answers to. And I went through a lot of testing just to make sure that these responses that were coming through weren't coming through some kind of network connection. So when I was using my iPhone or my iPad at the time, I would make sure that the network was turned off, the Wi-Fi was turned off, the Bluetooth was turned off, so that there could be no outside source coming in other than, spiritually. And one of the things that I did too is I had a Zoom H6 recorder, and I would plug the phone or the iPhone into one input, and then I would record my voice through another input so that my voice and the spirit voice would come through on separate tracks. The reason I did that is because if I was talking and they started to talk at the same time, if the voices had been on one stereo track, then I wouldn't have been able to isolate what they were saying and make out what was being said. So by having them on two separate tracks, I was able to isolate just their voice and listen to their voice by itself. So that really helped, especially during one during one of the conversations with my dad. He talked about that I asked him, what do you guys do on the other side? He said, we build. Well, actually, he said, we build them. And I was like, what do you build? And he said, spaceship hull, which I thought was really interesting, cool, but at the same time confusing. Like, what does he mean by spaceship hull? So, and then he said it several times, like, we build. And I said, yes. And this is before he said spaceship. He said, we build. And I said, yes, you build, but what do you build? And as I'm starting to ask that question, this voice comes through, and no joke, and I may add that at the end of this video, but the voice said, and it was straight up out of the X-Files, it said, we are not alone. And I was like, whoa. And the thing is, if I had recorded that as a stereo file, because it came through when I was actually speaking. So I would never have been able to isolate it and find out what was being said. But because I recorded 2 separate tracks, I could isolate that and hear. And it's crystal clear, folks. It's crystal clear. I think I will go ahead and put it on, just tack it on to the end of this video for you guys to hear. But getting back to the question about 1111 with my dad, I just thought it was really strange that those voices come in and tell him, you can't answer that. You can't tell him. And it's like, why? Why? And the fact that, he, when I said, is it important? And he said, might. That's an odd response. It's almost like he's trying to say it might be, but he's not allowed to. I don't know. Let me know what your take is when you guys hear it. But it's just odd that I asked the question and he's told he can't answer that. And then from that point forward, I've been unable to connect with him at all. So kind of the reason I'm bringing this up as well is because I've been toying around with the idea of trying to reconnect with spirit and see what they have to say about this code. Because this second portion of the code, this what I'm calling the code within a code, has seemed to me to have come to its conclusion. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And if it has, then I'm sitting here asking the question, so where does all of this go from here? That's why I want to connect with spirit and see what they have to say, if they can offer anything of value to all of this. And I know what people say about spirit communication. You have no idea who you're speaking with. But I still think it would be interesting to see what the responses are. And if there's anything that can be pulled out of these responses that can help validate or disprove this information. I mean, I'm open to either one, because this information that has come through in this code, like I've said multiple times over and over and over, it's beyond coincidence now. But I'm one of those people that I need even further validation. And I think you guys do too. I mean, it would be very unwise, I think, in my opinion, to start basing everything that we do simply off of this code with no real validation behind it. Other than the fact that, again, it's beyond coincidence that all of this is coming through. And I've said it before that, the only way that we're ever going to really get true validation is if, like I said, the government is aware of this event, that is supposedly going to take place in 2058, that they're aware of it and they come forward and tell us about it. But if that time ever comes, I believe deep in my heart that they won't do it until the last freaking minute. So, and we're talking, 36 years from now. That's a long time to just be sitting here hanging on just the information coming through in this code. And again, I understand too that people, even if I do the spirit communication and get some very valid responses, and again, responses that come through that are beyond coincidence, there's still going to be those people that have a hard time believing it. And I get it. There's still those people that have a hard time believing this code. And at times, so do I, and I'm the one sitting here going through this and decoding all of it and sitting here seeing these phrases coming up and literally sitting here going, you have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Like, how is this possible? But again, I want further validation, something to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is accurate, or it can be, disproved. And I've said it. I know I've said it, that at this point, it's going to be hard for anyone to refute the information. And I think that part is true. I think it would be very difficult for someone to sit here and try to argue that this code is fake. I don't believe that this code is fake. What I want to know is the information coming through in the code accurate? And I just think that's what anybody would want. I think anybody would want that further validation. I want it. I believe you guys want it. So I just think it would be interesting to see what the responses are that come through, if any do at all. So, yeah. Okay, so this most recent portion, this code within a code, I have been labeling it the God Matrix because that seems to be what it is. And as I said earlier, it seems as though this portion of the code, this hidden code within a code, has come to a conclusion. It's come to an end. And that's what I'm going to show you today. All right. So, and like I did last time, I need the full screen real estate in order to kind of, spread everything out. You guys be able to see it all on the screen. So you won't see my ugly mug on the screen during this presentation process, but I'll pull it back up at the end and finish out the video. So let's go ahead and change screens here. All right. And then let's hide OBS. Okay. So in the first video of the God Matrix, we decoded this portion up here down to this green line here. And I just want to reinstate the fact that this green line does have the value of 333, the number that started it all. And point out that, again, how interesting it was that all of this information fit within this space between that green line and the very beginning. Just like a puzzle, it fit perfectly. And then the second video, we covered this portion where the Star of David or the Star of Creation, whichever one you want to call it, shows up with the cross in the middle. And again, it fit perfectly between this green line and this green line down here, which also has the sum value of 333. Now, look at the interesting symbols, the geometry that came through. We have a triangle here, the Star of David with the cross. And as Micah pointed out, triangle or pyramid. But now look at this portion. We have yet another triangle or pyramid and 5 distinct crosses showing up in this. And when you look closer, we have 2 smaller triangles or pyramids. So all of this information that is revealed in here is very interesting, and it just is reiterating the rest of the information that was revealed. It's just it's repeating some of it, but also adding to it. It's almost like it's trying to how do I want to say this? It's like it's trying to say again and again and again this is what's going to happen. This is what's coming. Now, I showed this to Mike. I can't remember if I showed it in the video that I usually do for you guys. But when we look at this line right here, 171, it was the very first line after the number 37 that came up. And it was the word again, which is this line here. You can see it's highlighted. Now, in the second portion down here, we also, from this edge to the very edge of the star, we get the word again. Again. Yeah, that sounded weird. Let me say it this way. We also get the word again. So it's like it's almost telling us like this has happened. It's going to happen again and again. And then we get to this portion. And we do not get 171. We actually get 174. Okay. So the word again doesn't show up. This is essentially the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this, and I'll start showing you what has been revealed. Okay, so the very first number is 294. And go ahead and click this, and you can see what gets highlighted. It's the cross in the center of this triangle or pyramid. And 294 in Greek gives us Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? So again, we're seeing references to Jesus and the cross. Now in Hebrew, 294 gives us the phrase, the end of the world has come. And it also gives us the big light. Okay, the big light. Well, what is the big light? To me, that would be a representation of the sun. The sun is a big light in our sky. And the Bible even says that God created two different lights, one for the day and one for the night. So this is the big light, the sun. Now, I won't do this for all of them, and I said that in the last video, and I ended up doing almost all of the Google translations for the Hebrew stuff and the Greek. But I just want to do a handful because it takes up too much time to sit here and do every single one. But I just want to show you guys that I'm not making any of this up. I want you to very clearly see that all of this is accurate, okay? So 294, that's the green cross that we get here. And let me go ahead and copy this Hebrew text here. So remember, it translates to the end of the world has come. So Google Translate, paste it in. Hebrew is detected, and in English, as you can see, it says the end of the world has come. Now let's take that same Hebrew text, put it into Gematria. And as you can see, Hebrew Standard 294. 294, just like we see here. The end of the world has come, and the big light in Lord Jesus Christ. Again, that's tying back into the information that Micah Dink teaches when he says that the sun in the sky and the Son of God are one and the same. All right, let's keep moving forward. So the next number is 274, and that is the value given to this diamond shape that goes essentially around the cross, okay? Right there. And the cross, the green cross, just fits perfectly within it. And this is what's interesting. The cross is in the center of this diamond shape, and in Hebrew, we literally get the phrase in the center. Okay? And we also get geometry. That's what this is. It's geometry. And then interestingly enough, we get the word instructions. Instructions. So that's interesting. Is it suggesting that there are some kind of instructions within this, or are there some kind of instructions within the Great Pyramid of Giza that have yet to be found? Who knows? But very quickly, just to show the translation here. So as you can see, it's in the center. And let's go ahead and paste it over here. Hit submit. 274 Hebrew Standard. And 274. That is the number. And let's just go ahead and do geometry really quickly. Okay, as you can see, it's geometry. It's 274. And lastly, let's just do instructions. Let's do this first. Paste it in. 274. And then come over to Google Translate. Paste it in. As you can see, it's instructions. All right. Now, the next number is 1,190. And that is the value given to this entire top portion, which is essentially another triangle or pyramid shape. Okay. So it's all of these numbers up here above this line that's green. And what's interesting is in Hebrew, we get the phrase, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the brightness of the sun shall rise upon thee. Okay. That's quite a mouthful. So let's go ahead and show on this one the translation. So as you can see, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the brightness of the sun shall rise upon thee. Come over here, paste it in. As you can see, 1,190 Hebrew Standard. Okay. Now, the next number is 1,238, and that's the bottom portion. This triangle or pyramid that's pointing downwards. And when you look at this, the separation, you essentially have the above and the below. So what is it? As above, so below. Yeah. So, and look at what's being said. So, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the brightness of the sun shall rise upon thee. Then in Hebrew, we get the coming of the Redeemer. Okay. The brightness of the sun shall rise, and it's the coming of the Redeemer. All right, let's go ahead and do this one very quickly. As you can see, 1,238. It's exactly the number that we have here. That makes up this lower portion. And then the translation, the coming of the Redeemer. Now, what's interesting is the next line has the value of 160. And that is the value given to this middle line, the line that separates these two sections. And that value, or that number, gives us the phrase, and that being is God. Okay, now think about that all together. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the brightness of the sun shall rise upon thee. The coming of the Redeemer, and that being is God. Okay? And we'll just do that one very quickly. I swear I won't do all of them. Just some of these I just really want to point out. So as you can see, and that being is God. We paste it in, hit submit. 160 is the sum in Hebrew standard. And that is the exact number that we have here. Okay, now this one is really interesting. So I had no idea until just when I was decoding this that the number 333 in Hebrew produces the phrase, the code of creation. The code of creation in Hebrew. Now, when I originally was looking up 333 using Gematria, I did it using the Jewish cipher. And, you know, it just, because I don't speak Hebrew, I don't read Hebrew, I've been having to use Google Translate and do a lot of research to find out what these phrases and these numbers represent and how they connect. So 333 is this selection here. It's this edge of the pyramid coming up and then coming back down. It's just those numbers. Now, a couple of interesting things here, and this will come up in just a moment. But for those of you who have seen the Da Vinci Code, you should remember or recognize this particular symbol when Ian McKellen is talking about the cup of Christ. And he did hand symbols, one representing the male phallus, and then the opposite, which looked like a V, as a woman's womb. And again, that will come up here in just a moment. But how interesting that 333 is the value given to the phrase, the code of creation. The code of creation. So let's go ahead and copy that one because I really want you guys to see this one. Paste it in. As you can see, the code of creation. We'll come over here, paste it in, hit submit. And as you can see, Hebrew standard 333. All right. Now, 307. 307 is the value given to these two crosses together down here in orange. And 307 is the value given to the phrase, the end of the universe. The end of the universe, folks. And it's also the value given to one single word, and that word is solar. Now, this is what I find fascinating and really, truly interesting when it comes to Gematria, that an entire phrase, such as the end of the universe, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, can have the same value as one single word. That's just bizarre to me. And solar could have a couple of different meanings here. So it could refer to the summer solstice solar eclipse, or it could also refer to a solar flare. All right, very quickly, we'll do that one as well. Again, I just want to show you guys that, I'm not making any of this up. Okay, Hebrew, the end of the universe. That's the translation. 307 is the number. And as you can see, Hebrew Standard 307. 307. Okay, moving on. The next number is 2,399. And this one is truly mind-boggling because all throughout this, we've been talking about coincidences, that this is beyond coincidence at this point. So 2,399 is the value given to the pyramids in the center, or not in the center, but at the bottom here, this light blue portion that you guys see down here. Okay. Both of them together. And how interesting is it that 2,399 is the value given to the phrase in Hebrew, coincidence is God's ability to remain anonymous. Coincidence is God's ability to remain anonymous. Think about it. It makes sense. Anytime something happens, we simply go, oh, that's just coincidence. That's just coincidence. Yeah, maybe it's not. Okay, that one's worth looking at. So as you can see, coincidence is God's ability to remain anonymous. That's the translation. Put it into this calculator. Hebrew Standard 2,399. And that's the number we have here. 2,399. This portion down here. Okay. Now, this is also interesting. Well, all of this is interesting, but some of this just really stands out to me, how beyond coincidence it really truly is. So this cross over here in this kind of purplish color, as you can see, it's just these numbers here that get selected when I click on that number. So I click on 137, you can see it's just this. Now, if you remember, 137 is known as the fine structure constant. Now, this is what's interesting. The fine structure constant. In Hebrew, 137 is the value of the phrase in the symbol. It's also the value given to the words the cross. So think about that. We simply have the fine structure constant in the symbol of the cross. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Again, that to me is beyond coincidence. Now, the other cross has the value of 147, only 10 digits more. And we simply get, there will be disaster. Okay, there will be disaster. Now, I hate telling you guys phrases like this because I don't want people to just automatically assume that I'm this advocate for this doomsday scenario, because I'm not. I don't want any of this to happen. And it's not my goal or even my desire to cause people to freak out and panic. I'm just showing you what I've found. And I don't control these phrases. And again, I've said it 1,000 times. Anything I find, I'm going to reveal to you guys. I'm not going to hold it back, unless it's something that needs me to further dig in and make sure that, yes, the translation is accurate or not. But as you can see, these translations have been very accurate. So, yeah, there will be disaster. Now, both of those crosses combined give the value of 284, which in Greek is the word God. Just simply God. Now, 144, which we've seen before, in Hebrew, is the value given to the words Lord Jesus Christ. And that makes up this yellow portion right here that fits so nicely between this cross and the edge of this pyramid or triangle. Now, here is what is interesting as well, is the other side has the value of 149, and that produces in Hebrew the phrase Son of God. So literally, we're looking at Lord Jesus Christ being the Son of God. Okay? Now, this orange portion up here, the sort of tangerine-ish color, has the value of 407. And that is the value given to the phrase, come the great and terrible day of Yahweh. Come the great and terrible day of Yahweh. Okay, let's go ahead and just quickly do the translation of that. So as you can see, come the great and terrible day of Yahweh. Put it in over here. Hebrew Standard 407. 407. And that's exactly what we have here. Now, the opposite of that, this side, is 413. And 413 is the value given to the phrase, the days are coming. The days are coming. And again, just look, it's the exact number of cells, folks. Come the great and terrible day of Yahweh. The days are coming. Exact number of cells that fit between this cross and the tip of the pyramid on both sides. Just like a puzzle. Now, this 413 could have just as easily shown up, from this edge to, let's just say, the third line over, and then we would have had 3 left over. But it doesn't. It fits just like the other side does. Okay, now both of these sections together have the value of 820. So as you can see, when I click on this, all of those get selected. 820, and that produces in Hebrew the phrase, the end is in the Torah. Yes, the end is spoken of in the Torah. It's literally reiterating that fact. So let's look at that one very quickly. The end is in the Torah. And 820, Hebrew Standard 820. And that's exactly the number we have here. Okay. Now it's going to start over here, work its way down, and then we'll jump over here and work our way down over here. Now, this very first section here, this light purple, it's interesting that we get, it has the value of 277, and that produces the following words or phrases. The first one is the forbidden. The forbidden. And then we get the word information and the word explained. Now, all of those have the same equal value of 277. And when you read it all together, it seems to be like a sentence, simply saying the forbidden information is now explained. Okay? So let's just look at a couple of these. We'll do the forbidden first. As you can see, it says the forbidden. Hit submit. 277 Hebrew Standard. And just to show, I just want to show you that each one of these has the same value. So we'll do the next one, which is information. 277, that's the number. Google Translate, information. And then the last one, the word explained. There's the translation. And Hebrew Standard 277. So it's just interesting to me that we get these words that fit together that all have the same value and seem to be expressing a statement. Okay. Next to that, this sort of mint color, this light green mintish color, has the value of 414, which produces the phrases, there is no end of light, light infinity, and the word love. Now, again, here's one of those things where you get like a value from an entire phrase and one simple word. That's just, it's mind-boggling to me. There is no end of light has the same value as just simply the word love, L-O-V-E. And when you think about this, there is no end of light and light infinity. It's saying the same thing. Light is infinite. There is no end to it. And is it also suggesting that light is also love? So let's just go ahead and look at these as well. So we'll do the Gematria part first on the first one. 414, Hebrew Standard. Translation, there is no end of light. The next one, light infinity. Copy that. Do the translation, light infinity. Paste it in. 414. And the last one, love. Love is 414. And here's the translation. Love. All right. Moving on. This peach color here, or sort of peachish light tan color, I don't know what to call it, is 470. And that gives us the phrase, last redemption in our time. The last redemption, well, not the last, but just simply last redemption in our time. 470. And we'll show that one very quickly. So last redemption in our time. 470, Hebrew Standard. All right. Now, what's super cool about this one, this green portion has the value of 344, and simply we get the word in Hebrew, the pyramid. And that's what we have here. It's a triangle or a pyramid. Now, 533, that's the value given to this olive section here. So if I click on it, you can see that the whole entire thing is selected. Now, this one blew my mind. 533 in Hebrew. Now, get this, folks. That phrase says the matrix code is divine. Now, that blew my mind for several reasons, because at the very beginning, I had no way to describe how this information was coming to me other than through some divine source. And I only started calling it the 1111 matrix code because the word matrix kept coming up. And then we kept seeing phrases about a code. And so I was like, what better name than the 1111 matrix code? So what are the chances that we get the matrix code is divine? And that one we need to really look at the translation at. Again, I don't want anyone to think I'm making this crap up. The matrix code is divine. That's the translation. And the number was 533. Paste it in. As you can see, Hebrew Standard 533. Again, folks, what are the chances, okay? And again, I keep saying that. What are the chances? What are the chances? And yet I'm sitting here telling you I still need further validation. But I think that's natural. I think we all need further validation. And one thing I don't understand, and I've never been able to understand, is, the Bible talks about all of these occurrences where God spoke to man, either through a burning bush or, up on the top of a mountain or whatever. There's all these occurrences where there was what appeared to be one-on-one communication. And I've never understood that, like, if this creator wants to get a message across, why doesn't it just simply come forward and tell us? Unless this, and I know that sounds probably a bit naive or whatever, but I mean, unless the creator is in such, my brother said this once before. Think of the mind of a being or entity that has the ability to create an entire universe and everything that we see within it. Would we be even able to communicate one-on-one with this being? Because this being's mind would be so far beyond our own. Would we be able to comprehend the conversation? And maybe that is why it comes through in this way, in a way that we can understand. But again, I still need further validation. Okay, moving on. The next number is 226. As you can see, it's this whole entire green portion here. And we get, again, the words light, as we saw earlier, where there is no end of light, light infinity, and the word love. And together, right here, we get light and love. Now, earlier, we got the word instructions. And I said, does that mean that there's some sort of instructions within this? Or are there some sort of instructions within the Great Pyramid of Giza? Now, and I've said this before too, that what would happen if our entire population of this planet came together as one and united in light and love? Now that seems like it would be a massive, massive miracle for something like that to ever occur. Because right now, the way everything in this world seems, it seems completely hopeless. And I don't want you guys to feel that way. I don't want to feel that way. I think if we lose hope, then we're giving up. We've lost everything. So never give up hope, even when something seems hopeless, because I feel like there can be a way out of this if this code is in fact accurate and these events are going to occur. Do we have the ability to stop it? It seems to have said that the last time when it said, live in love without limit. This is the power. That is the power we all have. But how in the hell do you get everyone with all of their differences and, you know, these deeply rooted racist people, these deeply rooted people that simply hate you because of your sexuality or the color of your skin or what country you grew up in? I mean, just all these different things that really just don't mean shit. How do you get everyone in the world to come together and unite as one? And it would take something, I believe, unfortunately, that it may take such an event as this to open people's eyes and come together. I would love to think that it wouldn't have to come to that, you know, but I mean, just look at things that happen in our everyday lives. Look at how many times someone, and you may even be one of these people yourself, but where you have said something to someone that it was the very last thing that you said, and it was very hateful. And it was the last thing that you said to that person, and then something happened where that person died, and you never got the chance to say, I'm sorry. That happens all the time. And we shouldn't simply be like that. All right. I can go on to get on soapboxes. I don't want to. Let's just keep moving forward. So 226, that was the value given right here. And we get light and love. Now, right next to that, and I just said this, we get the word the population. That's the value given to this section right here. And it's 143, the population. Now, something else I want to point out here, look very closely, folks. Now, some of this stuff over in here have different shapes than these pieces over here. Okay? But if you look at this green portion here and this pink portion over here, it's the same number of cells. And so is this portion right here. This gray portion is the same number of cells as this light pink color over here. So again, it's interesting how it fits in. And we're talking about the population. The population, that's just it. The population. It's not suggesting the population of one country, of one state, of one town. It's just the population, period. And that's what I'm talking about. If the whole entire population could come together and live in light and love. That may be our only way of preventing this. Okay, right below it, this orange portion down here has the value of 142. And that's another interesting thing here. 143 and 142, it's one digit off. But we have the population, and then 142, we get it is designed. And I have said that before. All of this is by design. All of it is by design. Let's just go ahead and do the translation of that one. Okay, it is designed. Hebrew Standard 142. And very quickly, let's just go ahead and do the population, which is 143. Okay. Hebrew Standard 143. Translation, the population. All right. Moving on, 331. That is this portion over here. So now we're starting on the right-hand side. Now, we get from this the last day. 331 is the value in Hebrew for the phrase the last day. And then interestingly enough, we get the words in Hebrew, Gematria proof. Now, I was just saying earlier, I need further validation. And then here it's telling me, here's the proof. It's in Gematria. And yet again, I still need more. I need more validation. So yeah, 331, the last day, and Gematria proof. Just very quickly look at those. Okay, the last day. Hebrew Standard 331. Okay, 331. That's what we have right here. And then Gematria proof. As you can see, it's 331. And the translation, Gematria proof. All right. Now, this sort of light lavender, light pink, whatever you want to call it, color up here, light purple probably, has the value of 177. So when I select it, you can see that it goes around all of that. We get the word, that's the sign. That's the sign. But then we also get the word, strangely, in Hebrew, phallus. Phallus. And that's where I said this would tie in later, where the edge of the pyramid pointing up is the symbol that Ian McKellen used in the Da Vinci Code when he was talking about the male phallus. So let's just go ahead and do those very quickly. Okay, that's the translation. That's the sign. The number 177. And then phallus. Now, what is that telling us? Is that the sign of a big dick in the sky is what we need to be looking out for? No. I think I have a thought here, and I'll get to it in just a moment. So as you can see, phallus has the value of 177. And you can see the translation is phallus. Okay. So below that, in this olive green color, has the value of 215. And 215 is the value given to the words, the sword. Now, this symbol of the phallus, could it not also be the tip of a sword? Because we have seen the word, the sword, come up before. And my brother even made the comment of, if a solar flare was to leap out from the sun and head towards the earth, could it also not be represented as the blade of a sword? It's possible. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting. So Think about this, folks. That's the sign, phallus, the sword. But when these two sections that make up that's the sign, phallus, and the sword are combined, it gives the value of 392, and we get the phrase in the sky. So think about it. That's the sign, in the sky. The phallus, the sword. Think about it. Okay. The section right here. You can see it's selected. Has the value of 356. And we get the phrase, the creator of man. The creator of man. Let's go ahead and copy that. As you can see, it's the creator of man. And the Gematria value, 356. And that's what we have here. But we also get the phrase, destroy everything. Destroy everything. Now, if you remember from the last video, we saw the words, the sun, the earth, everything gone. And then earlier, we also saw the end of the universe. And now we're seeing destroy everything. Now, again, folks, I'm not trying to be this doomsday guy and scare everybody and freak everybody out. That's not my intentions. My intentions are just to make you aware of this code and what the code says. So as you can see, it has the value of 356. In the translation, destroy everything by the creator of man. Okay. Below that, 160, and that's the value given to this section right here. That was equal on the other side to the word population. And 160 in Hebrew is the value given to the phrase, and that being is God. Now think about it, folks. The creator of man, destroy everything, and that being is God. And they're right here next to one another. Whoops. So let's do the translation of that one. That one seems rather important. Okay. And that being is God. That's the translation. And the value in Gematria, 160, Hebrew Standard. And that's the value we have right here. All right, next to that, this tall, light, lavender, whatever color, I don't know, has the value of 261. And it says, and let there be an end. Okay, so again, the creator of man, destroy everything, and that being is God, and let there be an end to all of this. 261. Let's look at that. (261) Hebrew Standard. In the translation, and let there be an end. Now, next to that, we get, and the end is the beginning. Now, where have we heard that before? Okay, let's go back to 11:11. Because the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. that entire phrase has the value in Jewish Gematria of 1111. And we saw it the last time. Up here, in this portion up here, we got the beginning is the end. And now we're seeing down here, and the end is the beginning. 622, that's this entire green portion here. Let's go ahead and copy that. Paste it in, as you can see, and the end is the beginning. $622. 622. And that's exactly the number we have here. Okay, next to that, this portion here, we have the sign of life. The sign of life in Hebrew. Value is 150, and as you can see, that is the section that is right here. So again, that we're getting such mixed messages here. We're getting, the creator of man destroying everything, and that being is God. Let there be an end, and the end will be the beginning of something new. So, but then we get phrases such as light and love and live in love without, Live in love without, crap, I just said it a second ago, and without limit. This is the power, live in love. So it's kind of like these mixed messages of, is there hope by living in love? Or is it telling us that everything has to come to an end in order for there to be a new beginning, for everything to start out fresh? I don't know. But again, like I said, I don't think we should ever lose hope. Okay, now this one's very interesting. This section down here, we get the phrase, the Great Reset. Now, how many times, folks, have you heard me say reset? That I believe the event in 2058 is going to be a reset. Everything is going to start over. So again, that's where it ties into these mixed messages. That, and I keep going back and forth because, again, that's why I need further validation because of these mixed messages. You keep getting these phrases that suggest this is going to happen no matter what. And it will be the Great Reset. And by doing so, is it suggesting that that is how we will return to the source of light and love. And that is what will redeem us and cleanse us for the new beginning, so that we are starting out the way we should be. I don't know. Okay. 113. That's the value given to this section here in purple. And look at this phrase. And bring about unification. So again, it goes back to this end, being the Great Reset, that will bring about unification. It will bring us together, united spiritually in this next realm, whatever the next phase is, bringing us together, unified, so that we can start out fresh. I don't know. Again, that's where further validation is required here. Okay, show you guys the translation of the Great Reset just to prove? I don't think I did. Nope, I didn't. So here it is. 210, that's Hebrew Standard. 210, that's the number for the Great Reset. And the translation, the Great Reset. And let's just go ahead and do this one. And to bring about unification. Okay, so you can see the translation there. $113 and 113. That's the number we have here. Okay. Now, next to that, we have the miracle. And again, that ties into the mixed messages. So I said earlier, if we could all come together now and start to learn to live in light and love as one unified people of a planet, instead of all of this segregation, this separation, this, whatever. I guess separation is a good way of saying it. Then if we could all come together, it would take a miracle. So yeah, that's, it's mixed. It's like, okay. And we also saw it last time where it said witness a miracle, and it was repeated twice in this section and this section. And these sections have the same number of cells and the same value, 194, but using different numbers. So maybe, if this does all come to fruition and it does take place, then is that the miracle that we'll be witnessing? Our return to the source. I don't know. Okay. Then lastly, this little tiny green section down here. Just right here. Has the value of 35, and we simply get the word the star in Hebrew. The star. Now, what is the sun? The sun is a star. Okay? We oftentimes don't think of it that way, but that's exactly what it is. It's a star. And interestingly enough, when you zoom out on this, we have a star above the pyramid. Now, why did I say earlier that I feel like this portion of the code has come to its conclusion? Well, a couple of reasons. And let's look at the first one. So if you recall this section right through here where we had the creator of man destroy everything, and that being is God, and let there be an end, and the end is the beginning. Okay, so all of those sections there contained within this, and it covers each one, doesn't cover them completely, but this phrase crosses each one of them. And that phrase is, the message is complete in Hebrew. And the value is 481. And as you can see, 481 is the value of this section here. It's the sum of this section here. Okay? And again, it crosses over, it touches the creator of man, destroy everything, and that being is God. And let there be an end, and the end is the beginning. Okay? And we get the message is complete. So let's go ahead and do the translation. Remember, it's 481. That's the value. The translation, the message is complete. So there it is. And then in Gematria, Hebrew, 481. And that's the number we see here, 481. Zoom in on it. 481. Now, there's another reason why I think this message has come to its conclusion. So, everything fit. See how everything fit in the way that it did. And then something bizarre starts to happen. I started I started finding these repeating strings of numbers going in diagonal lines. Okay. And when you read across the numbers 2, 8, 4, 0, 6, and then it repeats 2, 8, 4, 0, 6, 2, 8, 4, 0, 6. Now, again, folks, keep in mind, this is important. Keep in mind that this portion of the 1111 matrix code was revealed when I took all of the numbers that were originally generated by taking 1111 times 333, getting 369, 963, adding 1111 to it, and then adding 369, 963 to that new number and every new number after it. And all of those numbers can be brought back to 1111. But remember, all those numbers that were generated, I put them together, one right after another, like a book. I showed you guys this. And I went through and selected every fourth number and pulled it out using something known as equidistant number sequences. And that is what revealed this code. So again, think about coincidence. Think about coincidence being God's ability to remain anonymous. And think about how beyond coincidence this is, that this sequence would repeat over and over and over for a long ass portion of this code. I'm scrolling down and you can see it is just repeating over and over. If I stop, you can see this is the number 2 stretching all the way across the screen from one side to the other. The number 8, the number 4, 0, 6, back to 2. It's doing it repeatedly. Okay? For a very, very long time. In fact, it does it all the way from line 84 to 903. Okay? As you can see, I'm scrolling down. And we're now at line 903. And it just abruptly stops. Okay? See how it's 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, boom, 9. 0, 0, 0, 0, all the way down, suddenly it becomes 1. These are all 6s, and then suddenly it becomes 1. All 2s, and suddenly it becomes 0. All 8s, and it becomes 1. All 4s, and then it turns into 3. 0, and then there is a 0 here, but then it goes to 8, okay? 6s, and then suddenly 2. 2, and then suddenly 0. 8 and 0, 4 and 8, and so on. It just abruptly stops. And as I've been looking through this portion down below, I'm not seeing any patterns starting to emerge, like we saw up here in this section, where we got all of this geometry, all of the shapes and symbols and repeating patterns and these palindrome numbers and all of this. It's just like it's saying all of this is now crossed out. It's just wiped away. But there's almost another hidden symbol within these numbers. So think about when we reduce numbers down. What do we do when we reduce the number down? Well, we take the number, well, let's just say the number 222. We reduce it down. How do we do that? Well, we take 2 plus 2 plus 2. So 222 becomes 6. So if we were to reduce 28406 down, we would get rid of the 0 because it has no value. So essentially it would be 2 and 8 is 10, 4 is 14, and then 6, we would get 20. Okay? Again, 0 is not adding any value. So what happens if we remove the 0? And we look at just 2, 8, 4, and 6. I want to show you something here. So look at the numbers on a calculator. 2, 8, 4, and 6. Do you see what movement my mouse is going in? 2, 8, 4, 6. We are literally getting this, the number 4, which is what 1111 would reduce down to, because it's 4 ones. And 4 is the sequence that I used when I was doing the equidistant number sequencing. I went through and selected every 4th number. Okay? And also, when you're looking at the original 1111 matrix, I can't even talk, 1111 matrix code, you use the code of 4. You take the last 4 digits and add the remaining, and every number will come back to 1111. Until it, when the number gets bigger, you take the last 4, and then the next 4, and then the next 4, and then add what's remaining. And it's interesting that 2, 8, 4, 6, it's in the shape of the number 4. But yet, there's another symbol. And it's this one. The cross. Because we have 2, 8, 4, and 6. Okay? 2, 8, 4, and 6. These outside squares. And remember in the one video where we had that, what looked like a puzzle piece, where I had a red square. Was it a red square with a black square in the center? I think it was. And, well, actually, you know what? Let's just pull it up. Where was it? That's what I'm trying to think. Was it in numbers or was it in my keynote? Let's just look and see. I forget. This will take a second to load up. But as it's loading, let's just go ahead and look here. Again, so we have 2, 8, 4, and 6. So let's see. This opened up. Was it in here? No, it's going to be in my other presentation. I have a lot of data collected here, folks. So let's go ahead and open this. I just want to show you what I was referring to. This file is so big, it takes a little bit to open. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so let's just look through here. I forget where it was. Was it decoding the Bible? No. Was it here? Yes. Okay. So it was here where we had the 11 by 11 square, and I was showing how each one of these total 144, but how the number 36 in the middle never got selected. Okay. So when we start out with the cross, but 36 again is never selected. And that's why over here I had it blacked out, and we have the cross, and we're not using the number in the middle. Okay. That's exactly what we're seeing here. 2, 8, 4, and 6, and we're not using the number in the middle, the 5. But again, we still get the same symbol. Just like we did here. And it fit very nicely in that where we saw it was actually a flag used for warnings of a coming storm. These connections are off the chart, folks. So, yeah, there you have it. I mean, that's this portion so far. And like I said, it seems to have come to its conclusion. The message is complete. It's telling us it's complete. That there's nothing beyond this. And when you stop and think about it, like literally how long, because there's a lot of numbers that were generated, and I had no direction. It was my own doing that I took all those numbers up to 100 billion. Let's go ahead and put me back on the screen here. So, that was my doing to take that equation all the way up to 100 and whatever billion it was, because I wanted to see for myself how long that sequence would go and see how, that every number would come back to 1111. And it probably even goes well beyond that. But I think 100 billion is a pretty good number to go to and say, okay, I think this is going to happen every single time. So, but it only makes sense that the code would come to a close at some point, because literally if I took all of those numbers up to 100 billion, and I mean, just stop and think about it. Like, how long could that code keep going through all those numbers and just essentially repeating the same information in different ways? It would have to come to some sort of end. I mean, that's my thought. So, and it seems to be correct. It did come to a conclusion, an end, as you saw. So, okay, so that's it for now. Where do we go from here? I have no idea. I have no idea where this is going. And that's why I have been toying around with the idea of trying to reconnect with the spirits and see what their thoughts are, what they have to say about this, if they're even able to say anything about this. Because again, my father seemed to be instructed not to talk about it. But is that because he wasn't allowed to talk about it, or I was meant to discover this on my own without any guidance or verbal guidance from the other side? I don't know. I have no way of knowing. Unless I can reconnect with him at this point, now that I've gone through this discovery, and I can reconnect and now start getting some answers. We'll see. But like I said, I have no idea where this code is going to go from here, if it's going to go anywhere at all, or if this is the end of this particular portion of the code within a code. But I will still keep plugging away and see what more is being contained within it, and if there's more to reveal. And if there is, I most definitely will bring it to you. So If I start doing the spirit communication again and getting responses, then I will be bringing those to the table and presenting that to you guys. And I'm not doing it without a sense of hesitation, because it is, and I get it, for some people, speaking with spirits, communing with the dead, is a taboo subject. People are going to look at it as, I'm only communicating with demons. That you should never communicate with the other side because you don't know who you're communicating with. And I agree, you don't know. So it's really going to boil down to asking the right questions and being very open to the communication that's coming through, and not just taking everything that's being said as fact until the evidence starts building up. Okay? Again, we just have to be open-minded about it and see what is said. I mean, granted, I wish there was an easier way of getting validation, like that didn't cross over into this spiritual side, because many people don't believe in this type of stuff. So having something more substantial in the sense of, like I said earlier, like our government coming forward and saying, hey, we're aware that something's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But now there's so much distrust with our government that many people won't even believe them if and when they come forward and say something. So it's really just a clusterfuck. And yeah, because the state of the world right now is in such freaking chaos. And I'm sure most of you by now, or at least by the time that you watch this, will have heard that we actually had a shooting here in Tulsa. And in fact, it was yesterday, and I was 1 mile away from where this all took place when it was taking place. Literally sitting at the stoplight at 51st and Yale here in Tulsa. And this shooting took place at 61st and Yale, literally 1 mile down the road. And I thought there was a wreck. I had no idea, because I was just sitting there at the light, and 2 police cars come zooming by in the other lane towards oncoming traffic. Those people had to pull over, and they zip through the light and go on. So all I can see is just flashing lights down there. I'm thinking, crap, there's a wreck. I'm going to turn here at 51st and Yale and avoid that section. And I was actually on the phone with my brother, and I was like, oh, there's something going on. And he goes, here, let me look it up. And he literally told me, he's like, oh, there's a live shooting or live shooter event taking place at this very moment. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And he said, no, it's all over the news. So that was spooky. I was literally 1 mile down the road on the exact same road as it was happening. And, you see this stuff on TV, and it's heartbreaking. But then when it happens in your own town, it's just, I don't know. It's weird to say it, but it becomes more and more real. Because sometimes we have this sense of what we see on TV is not being real. But then it happens, and you can see it happening. Like I didn't see the shooting, but I could see the police cars. I could see that there was something going on. And then to hear that it's a shooting event. Now, what's really fucked up is, according to what I read online, this was the 233rd shooting that we've had in 2022. And we're only like 150 some odd days into the year. So there's been more shootings this year than there have been actual days. And we're only halfway through the year. It's sick. It is just sick. It's disturbing beyond belief. We have got to find a way to end this crazy fucking nonsense. And this code, you know, if it is accurate, and I go back to those mixed messages, you know, of is there being a way out of it, or is this event the only way out? I don't know. So enough of my rambling. I just wanted to show you the information. And again, you know, kind of want to get your guys' feedback on what you think. You know, do you think it's a good idea to try to connect with spirit and just see what they have to say? Just see what comes through. I don't think there's any harm in that. And trust me, folks, I take every precaution necessary to try to prevent negative demonic forces from coming through. I don't just jump in willy-nilly and, you know, without taking certain precautions, because, you know, like that lady says in the one video, ain't nobody got time for that. So yeah, I don't have time to deal with that type of creepy crap. But I just want to see what comes through. And if something substantial will come through, I don't know. It's just, again, I need further validation. And I think you guys do too. So there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here for now. And we'll see what how this continues to unfold. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. So till next time, hope you all take care, stay safe, and just hang in there. We'll get through all of this. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Dad, are you able to tell me what it is that you build? Dad, did you say spaceship? Dad, are you building some kind of spaceship? Yeah, you build. What do you build? And where are you building this?